Memphis podcast. We here in Penny's Nitty Gritty restaurant with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Penny Hardaway. Come on, let's give him a hand.
What's up, Doc?
Yeah, so of course when we was talking about coming up with a podcast, like we just came up with this name, So Memphis, and of course
I like that though.
Yeah, and it means just basically just Memphis through and through. So you think about like Crystal Palace or Beale Street, and of course Penny Hardaway.
Okay. You put me up there with Bill? Okay. I like that.
Yeah. And so when you think about that, like when you think about the word So Memphis, what does that mean to you?
Man, I think about a lot, but it's just how we were raised, how, coming through the streets, growing up,
right.
Through sports and nightlife and everything that we did. It's this certain attitude that Memphis people carry that to me is just so Memphis. So that's what I think about when I think about So Memphis.
No, I agree. So you saying So Memphis and having the attitude, and of course, some of your accomplishments are, leading the Memphis Tigers with, the basketball records that you accomplished there, and then going to the Orlando Magic and the NBA, having a long career there, and also having one of the top selling shoes at Nike. And of course, Memphis known for the shoe game.
Right.
How does that Memphis mentality, affect you and allow you to achieve success after success?
Well, first of all, just in sports, just from being from Memphis, you had to be tough mentally and physically. So that's what, made me thrive in sports, period. Like every single time, whether it was high school locally or whether it was going on the road, I was always in the back of my mind thinking about Memphis and trying to be one of the people who were successful that could be able to come back and talk about it, you know what I mean? And then be able to spread that. And, now after basketball, it's the same way. It's the way I coach the team. Everything that I do is for the city, whether they believe it or not. I mean, I know, but it's for that because I want to win a championship for the city. I want us to be successful because if our city is successful, then they could take some of the smears away that they try to put on Memphis. Because, when you talk about Memphis, everybody else around the country, it's, you from Memphis?
Definitely.
That's Memphis, But for me, it's about, the pride, the music, the culture part of it, who we are more so than it is. So I kind of carry that with me in everything that I do.
Yeah. Sound like you the blueprint of the podcast, man. That's what we basically started off of, just putting that light on Memphis, and just we get a lot of negative press, but basically this was the reason of starting this up, was just starting the podcast, shining the light on the city, letting them know all the good that's in the city that outweighs the bad, So I'll share So Memphis moment for me was when I went off to school. They was fascinated by how many ways I went to Tennessee State. Yeah, Tennessee State.
Thank you.
I had, the TSU. Yeah. But I had a close friend of mine. We became like brothers, but he was from St. Louis. And he was just fascinated about how many ways I could use the word man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can make it a noun, an adjective.
Oh, yeah.
He was, so that was it. Yeah. It can be an emotion, be like, man, like, or that man over there,
So, oh yeah, we all know.
Yeah,
we all know.
So it just flowed. He was like, it just flowed, and when they tried to use it, it was like it was pulling teeth.
Yeah.
But if we would just share if you had a So Memphis moment outside of the city of Memphis, could you share that with us if you had one?
Man, I guess let me try to think of a moment. I had so many of them. I mean, let me think of one. I don't know. It goes all the way back to my AAU days.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Everywhere we went, man, we were just chanting and clapping it up. You know how we do in high school?
Oh,
we
yeah.
clapping it up. Hamilton, so East. With Tony Harris. Shout out my boy T. Harris over here. Legend in Memphis. That's So Memphis right there.
Definitely.
For sure.
What about this? I remember the first time I saw you play was at White Station.
Okay.
Treadwell East. Mm-hmm. You and Billy Smith going head up. What about that moment? Because I remember specifically, you took that team and put it on your shoulders.
But I'm gonna tell you what's deeper than that.
Yeah.
Me and Billy grew up in the same apartments. I was supposed to go to East.
Oh, really?
So I was born in the heart of Binghamton, right?
Yeah.
And when my mom left when I was like 5 years old, I had to move with my grandmother, which was in the Treadwell district, which was less than a mile away. But the streets divided us up. So when I played my ninth grade year, we played East at East. That's the only time we played East at East.
Right.
I walked home with them with my Treadwell warm-up on because I lived in Binghamton.
Right.
And it's crazy how that worked. But the So Memphis moment with us was we were like arch enemies on the court, Treadwell East, because it was a rivalry.
Right.
But we were raised together.
Yeah.
Same apartments, eating the same free lunch in the park. Out in the streets, kind of hanging. And I just didn't go to East, but that's just kind of how we were. We played AAU together, so everywhere we went, man, we just really was. People was calling us country, because of how we talk. What you say? Don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it. But that was our team.
Yeah.
Me, Corey Beck, Billy Smith, Anthony Douglas, Randy Carter. That whole group was everywhere we went, man. We made sure that people knew about Memphis, and we won big. So I got more than that in the NBA, but it's just being with Memphis guys. Like my whole entire team at Memphis State was from Memphis.
Yeah.
With the exception of Kevin Allen, he's from Bolivar, but that's kind of like East Memphis. You know what I mean? So our whole team was so prideful about where we were from, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I remember that games, vividly, and just, it was like a pro atmosphere because it was so electric, that rivalry with Treadwell and East. And then, like I said, you went on to go to the NBA, and I saw an interview recently with Shaq, and how Shaq like defended you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Shaq get a bad rep as being a hater.
Right.
But he never hates on you. He always says, and I remember that quote called, he says, Penny was Kobe before Kobe. Mm-hmm. And he just said you left such an imprint on that team, and he really, hindsight being 20/20, hate he left, but that Memphis mentality allowed you to thrive, and playing with some of the best of the world, and also playing against Jordan that year, correct? So how did you feel coming into that game when you guys were playing against the Bulls?
Yeah, I think just you go back to the park, and how you had to earn every single thing, how you had to, again, everything I did was Memphis,
right.
And if you can survive in Memphis, I feel like you can go anywhere and survive, honestly. So when I went to Orlando, that was like, that's Mickey Mouse world. That ain't, that was easy. So to fit in with Shaq and to fit in with those guys, it's like everything seriously. And my mentality was always on, what is the hood going to say? What is the city going to say? I got to represent every single time I step on the floor. And that's how I played. Yeah, so when I played MJ, I was like, okay, respect.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, hey, you got to bring it like I got to bring it. That's how I felt. And he respected me for that because we're good friends now. And he talked about those battles. But, yeah, it was just we look forward. When you're from Memphis, you look forward to that challenge.
Yeah.
Instead of running from a challenge, we running towards it. So that's just how it was, how we was raised.
Definitely. So would you say basketball was just your God-given purpose?
Yeah, definitely basketball was my God-given purpose because it took me out of a really adverse situation.
Right.
And then I was able to come back and put the money back into that adverse situation. So to me, that's all God.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can't dream that up.
Nah.
To be able to leave a situation, make the money, and then come back and then put it where you were before.
Yeah.
That full circle thing is real.
Yeah, that's real good. Yeah, you still So Memphis. Now you're head leading the Tigers. Now once was a Tiger as a player. Now Tiger as a coach. Just would you just elaborate on that? Just taking over the head. How was it to be able to take over that program after once being a player? Now you're actually running the program.
It's weird because I never really wanted to be the coach. I have a friend, and Tony knows, Desmond Merriweather was the only reason why I got into coaching. Yeah. Because he was diagnosed with colon cancer when I was retiring, and then he told me to come and help him coach to Lester Middle School, and that's how it all happened. And, when I started doing that with Dez, it became bigger than me. It took on a life of its own to try to save these kids versus doing what I really wanted to do. So I kind of abruptly stopped and had to start focusing in on his – man, he had like the spirit of like Tupac. Like he was the guy that people followed I'm serious. He could make you follow him with just, you know what I mean? Come on, T. He just had that effect on you. And when I first met him, man, I can't remember this little bitty car he had, but he had 17 kids in that car. I was like, dude, this ain't legal, bro. But he didn't care. He was going to get them where they needed to get to. He was going to get to that game. And when I was retiring, I mean, those kids kind of taught me how to, like, lock in and be like, okay, this is needed.
Yeah.
You know, it's wanted, it's needed. And then once I went the first year, then it went to the second year, then it went to the third year, then it just became a part of me.
Yeah.
And I think that my career got cut short for injuries.
Right.
But I really feel like God cut that short for me to be able to do what I did with Dez because we touched all those kids' lives in the Binghamton community.
Yeah, that's good. That's amazing.
And then they went on, like 80% of the kids went to college, whether it was D2, whether it was D1, whatever, or, you know, got an education, and then we're still close now. A lot of those kids, a couple of those kids passed away. You know, they kind of went down the wrong road. When Dez passed, and then I went on to Memphis, there's only so much you can do from where I am at Memphis with the guys. And then, you know, you get that in our neighborhood, you want fast money.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go work a job. I want fast money. That's what we've seen growing up.
Right.
And if you fall to that, then it can happen fast, but we know where that leads.
Exactly.
And a couple of the kids got murdered.
Yeah.
You know, going to the street game, which really crushed me because I felt like, man, we should have been there, but we were there. It's just they chose that. And so I look at that and I say, everything that's happened up until this point to be the Tigers coach, it's like I have to thank God for this opportunity because those kids just taught me a lot, you know, and it prepared me for this level.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll do like we did our first segment. We opened it up with the audience. If you all had any questions you want to ask the guests, feel free. This is the moment we'll open it up. So anyone have a question they want to ask Coach? Nobody? No questions. Not this time. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah, just giving it up for Coach. Yeah.
I think the grind happens so much because I've grinded so much for these kids. I actually got in trouble with the NCAA for no reason.
Yeah.
Because they were like, when you decided to give money back to the school, I gave $1 million back to Memphis so that they could build a Hall of Fame.
Right.
When I went back to the community and started giving the money, they said that's illegal.
Oh, wow.
Because these kids could play basketball. And I thought that was so...
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, how do I judge a kid that's 12 years old that he's going to be this superstar when he's 18 or 19 years old? And that's what they tried to do. But thank God that they didn't, charge me for that I didn't get into trouble for that because that's all that was. But it gets so draining having to fight. But I do it because I know it's needed because you see our communities now. The male figure, especially you have to lead these young men and to get them to understand that it's bigger than what you think it is. Like, you can make it. You know, they want to be loved. They want to get that confidence that they can do it too, and giving them that opportunity, they definitely appreciate it. But a lot of them are just upset because they don't get that opportunity. They don't. And I've challenged our leaders to get like every church and kind of every zip code and try to gather at these churches to try to get these young men and women to understand different. And hopefully one day we'll be able to try to find a way to get, they're like, we can't get to these kids nowadays. I think you can.
Yeah.
You know, because if we give up on them, we'll never get to them. But I think that we can do it as a city. We need to unite and come together because right now we need it. We need to be So Memphis when it comes to that.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the truth.
Yeah. Go ahead.
How did you feel the moment that they asked you to come and coach the Tigers?
I felt like the time was necessary because, you know, the team was down, and how the University of Memphis rolls is how the city usually rolls, you know, because we love Tiger basketball. So I felt like it was time, and I just, you know, went out on faith and then just did it. And then all the guys came from East. We started building, and now we're basically, you know, trending in the right direction. We're going upward now. So it was kind of down, and now it's gotten the team in the city back where it needs to be. Now we just gotta keep pushing.
Yeah. So y'all remember when Memphis was the pro team of the city? You know, we didn't have the Grizzlies. We just had the Tigers. So Memphis State, they were our pro team, so they did drive the city, and you touched on it about the team driving the city. I think they still do.
Yeah.
I think the program still does. Yeah. But we Coach, we just want to thank you, and also, mainly for your, a guy that did all the things that you've done and accomplished all the things you accomplished, and you didn't have to come back to Memphis, but you did. You did, and just listening to you talk, it speaks volumes on, the heart of the person.
I appreciate it.
Someone else had a question here?
Yeah, quick question for you. So as a business owner, what is your next ventures, and are you looking to do something here locally or something that's nationwide?
Well, I'm already doing things nationwide. The last project was this deal called Trade Block. It's where you can get your sneakers and you can trade your sneakers. Like if you have a pair of different sneakers that you don't wear anymore, you can put them on Trade Block and then try to trade with someone else and just kind of switch shoes. So being a sneaker world, I kind of do that. But locally, I do want to open up because there are people that need jobs, that really, and then I feel like, opportunity is what a lot of people need. So I really want to open up those opportunities as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll say, go ahead.
I want to ask you, how do you feel being one of the biggest icons come out of this city? And does that put a lot of pressure on you?
It does, because I really feel like I'm leading the charge of guys that's saying, hey, I can do it too. And then a lot of times I put so much pressure, but then I have to rewind a little bit because I have to remind myself that I am living in the dreams that I was having. I've actually accomplished that and living in those dreams.
Wow.
So sometimes you get so mixed up that you forget to appreciate that, man, everything you asked for, man, I had that, or I've had it. So I think we can kind of push the envelope so hard to keep getting money, because Memphis is about getting money too now.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? But you can't forget that where you are now, you've surpassed where you were.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
for me, the pressure is there, but I also have to sit back and be like, all right, I'm accomplishing some things, and I'm still going. But you're going to always keep pushing. That's the So Memphis way.
You are
I
a
think.
big icon.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yes. Go ahead.
So, Penny, we go way back. So I've seen, your transition, your evolution from high school all the way to now as a coach. Do you feel like you have an edge on other college coaches as far as how you can relate to players? 'Cause I know a lot of people say that he getting kids because he played in the NBA. But you grew up in Binghamton, and so you know what kids like. You know what they want to hear. You know how they want to be coached. Do you feel like, because just think about it, coach from Kansas, or these guys, these other coaches who didn't grow up in the same conditions as he did. Do you think that you have an edge? Do you have an edge on them as far as?
I think I have an edge two ways. The first way is God will make room for your gifts. My gift was basketball. Played in the NBA. So that gives me an edge on coaches when it comes to that. And then growing up in the same neighborhood that a lot of them grew up in. So that's the edge. So to me, I can't take that away that God gave me that gift to be able to play in the NBA. They want to go to the NBA, so I'll definitely use that for the people that say it. But also on the other side is growing up the way we grew up. I can identify with them, and we can handle problems way differently than they can the average coach, because I've been there. I've lived there.
Yeah. You got a question?
I just have a question. I just wanted to tell you thank you.
I appreciate it.
Having fun in your organization. It was one of the greatest experiences with my son. So, I appreciate you for opening up your home, opening up the gym, everything that you gave my son. He's no longer with us now, but that was one of, the most powerful experiences that I have in the basketball world. I was a parent, I didn't know anything about basketball. But I rode with him because he had a passion for it, and it was just the most pleasant experience.
I appreciate that. I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to come back and start a program, because me and Desmond started the program together to give these young men and women, because we had a Team Penny women's team as well.
Yeah, I remember that one.
that right to dream and to travel around the country and didn't have to pay a thing, to be able to travel, to be able to play, to be able to show their talents, get scholarships. That's what I wanted to do, and I'm glad I was able to do that. But thank you. I appreciate it, because it's all about, uplifting others. And I was talking to a guy the other day, and I said to him, because I said, man, I love you, but the reason why you haven't grown is because it's all about you. When you learn to be about other people, you're going to grow.
Yeah.
He's a basketball genius.
Yeah.
He's a great mind, but when it comes to the people side, he struggles. And I was like, you can't try to step on people to get what you want. So, to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you gotta be
yeah, you
a
got
person
to
that
be.
wants to give,
Yeah.
because it'll be given, unto you. So that's how it works, though. The people that think that they got to get there want to step on people. It never works that way.
I think you just opening up for some more people. Yeah, you. yeah.
That was my next question. It was very important.
Go ahead.
Seeing the journey that you had, we've all watched from afar. How do you stay so humble?
Yeah.
Man.
Being at the height of your career, the height of your comeback, being a college coach, just
And
giving
still
back to the
connect,
community,
yeah.
Everybody look at you like a legend, an icon, and you sitting up here talking like I be talking to cats.
Right.
It's just my part of it.
That's just how I was raised. My grandmother raised me like that, and I just knew about God when I was first born. So I never lost that. I never lost that blessing. I'm glad, because I've been a part of seeing my idols and seeing people in Hollywood, and then they walk right past me.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, we grew up the same way. How can you walk past somebody? So to me, that's the So Memphis in me.
Yeah,
that I never
definitely.
forgot where I came
Yeah.
from. So that's
Me and Tony was just talking about that, though. It's just a blessing for you to go
Yeah.
through what
It
you've
is.
been through and still be so
Yeah,
humble.
that's
No,
what
I
I said.
appreciate
Coming back, you could have took your chips and everything and just stayed in Florida in the sunshine and
Yeah.
everything, but you came back to the city, and the city is very appreciative of that, man.
the other side of So Memphis. Man, I could be in Florida now. I'm joking.
Well, Coach, we definitely appreciate your
Well, I
time,
appreciate
man.
y'all.
We definitely appreciate you. Thank you for sitting down with
no
us,
doubt, no doubt.
and we enjoyed it, man, very
Yep,
much.
same,
Yeah,
same.
thank you. Yeah.